Hi, this is Davidian Lyon, and this is Human Design Projector. Bitterness can bite me. If you're watching this and you don't even know yet if you're a projector, and you'd like to know what type you are, be sure to check out our free gift in the notes. There's an opt-in where you can get your free chart and find out what type you are and so much more. For instance, if you want to put this intel into action and learn how to manifest according to how you personally were designed, meaning just because you're not a manifester, only 9.78% of the population are. It doesn't mean you can't manifest successfully. Learn all about it in our free challenge. Okay, so presuming you know what's what, you and or your loved one are a projector. And as such, your aura strategy as a projector is to not take any action related to your hopes and dreams and going for it, or get into a relationship with someone, or otherwise make any big decisions until you're first recognized for what you have to offer and then invited to take part in whatever it is. Share your insight, teach a class, give details about your offering, your programs, your talents, your course, or your whatever. Do not initiate action. Otherwise, bitterness will bite you, because those actions you're taking when you're not following your particular projector strategy will not be successful. And even if they are, like you did the thing you set out to do. For instance, let's say that you found out there was a talent show and you worked it out that your band would play on stage, and then something like this happens. Or it went fine, but it didn't feel as good as you were expecting. The feeling you're left with after accomplishing the whatever it is will feel hollow, or like a Pyrrhic victory. Have you heard that term before? According to Wikipedia, a Pyrrhic victory is a victory that inflicts such a devastating toll on the victor that it is tantamount to defeat. Someone who wins a Pyrrhic victory has also taken a heavy toll that negates any true sense of achievement or damages long-term progress. Living not self, which is what it's called when you live your life out of your undefined centers, which are influenced and conditioned by the outside world, instead of living as your true self, how you were designed, following your strategy and authority, and staying on your ideal trajectory. Living not self is no joke, at least not the laughing with you kind. That said, or having said that, wherever you fall on that, of course, a Pyrrhic victory is not something that tends to happen too often, frequency-wise. And by that I mean frequently. Frankly, if you're frequently off your frequency, you frequently see what shouldn't be. It may be some cold comfort, knowing that there's a word out there that perfectly describes this experience. But having this intel is a great way to avoid it. And you may not experience that sort of extreme case. For you, it may be on the tamer end of the spectrum, but still a bummer. Like you accomplished, acquired, or achieved the thing you won, at least on paper, but it lacked that fulfilling feeling you were chasing. It won't feel successful, which will leave a bitter taste. It happens, just saying. Ever notice how things work out better for you and feel better overall later when you're approached by someone who's interested in your gifts or your insight or your advice, and then you deliver, versus you vying for attention, trying to get noticed and heard and experience that conclusion? Now, by waiting for the invitation, I am not talking about sitting around doing nothing. I'm talking about active waiting. Develop your expertise, master systems, hone your craft. These are all things you should be doing while you're waiting. All great things to focus on while you await the invitation to share your insight, gifts, program, etc. It's active waiting, not waiting in a chair for the phone to ring waiting. You have a deeply penetrating aura, like a laser, that goes directly into the center of the other person. From doing this, an ability which is involuntary, by the way, you gain insight into what they need, what they could do better, or how they could save time. This laser can be uncomfortable for them or unwanted. So you need to wait for people to recognize your gift of insight and ask you for it before you offer any of it. As a projector, one of the things you'll begin to notice are the occasions when you are not invited or recognized. Initiating action for a projector can sometimes be like casting a spell of invisibility on yourself, or worse yet, idea thievery. For instance, you may be in a meeting and someone may cut you off or interrupt you when you're speaking. Or Joe colleague takes your idea and claims it as their own. It's commonplace, unfortunately, for a projector to have their ideas taken. So waiting to be recognized provides some added protection against idea theft as well. Understandably, waiting can be very difficult. There's a deep-seated wanting of acknowledgement, and it can feel like a dull aching that can't be satisfied by anything else. But if you don't wait to be recognized for your gift of seeing others and guiding their energy, and instead try to get this recognition by forcing your way or offering your perspective without first being invited, you meet resistance and or rejection and are left with bitterness. Being deeply seen and appreciated for who they are and what they have to offer is what brings the sense of success to the projector. At first, it feels like a punishment to keep your opinions and insights to yourself. It's just the way things work for you. The projector's need for recognition is a powerful drive, but if you go seeking it, you'll miss it. It's coming for you. But if you move toward it prematurely, you'll be off your frequency. And it's truly your protection to wait from being dragged into circumstances, dramas, experiences that are not correct for you, and a waste of your precious time. Otherwise, your initiated, proactive efforts to be heard and noticed will tend to either backfire or mute your results. It won't pan out the way you're hoping. And sometimes that can be embarrassing, and sometimes that can be deeply sad. The projector is here to manage, guide, direct, and lead. They are here to project thoughts, ideas, patterns, solutions, and inspiration. Like a movie or overhead projector, it lights the way to a more organized or better way of doing things. Your aura is really only meant to deal with one person at a time, as opposed to, say, a generator, whose aura envelops and can handle larger groups. The invitation helps the communication or interaction go smoothly. The projector must be invited in order for the energy to flow properly. I liken it to be the difference between this frequency and this frequency. Imagine what the two sound like, and then imagine each is the underlying or subconscious frequency you're transmitting. One is a super staticky, irritating sound and vibe when you're not following your aura strategy and inner authority, and the other is soft and alluring, attracting positive attention and interest when you are operating correctly. How many of us have had the experience in a group or social situation when someone starts guiding and directing and everyone's thinking, who invited you to be the boss of me? It's this type of dynamic that requires the projector to participate by invitation. The invitation can be formal, informal, or implied, but it is critical that the invitation is there for there to be a successful outcome. And again, successful means you feel fulfilled afterwards, and not just that you accomplished something that feels disappointing or lacks the vibe you were hoping to have after doing the whatever it is. And the invitation I'm talking about is not of the generic to whom it may concern variety. Remember, for the invitation to be valid, or check that box, not even talking about your inner authority at this point giving you the green light, just what is a valid invitation? For the invitation to be valid, you have to be recognized for the thing you're being invited to or for. What does that mean? Well, as a projector, you're here to be known for your channels, or in some case, your channel. So take a look at your chart. That's what you're here to be known for. That's the life force you're transmitting that you're here to be recognized for. When you receive an invitation, it's very important to determine if the invitation is personal and you're actually being recognized for what you have to offer. Also, make sure you're with the right people, because that's another important aspect and question to ask yourself. Are the people you're spending time with the right people for you? Do they recognize your gifts and what you have to offer? If not, you're with the wrong people. If you're not paying attention to who the right people are for you, then you're never going to find success on the material plane. A typical projector error, and this happens all too often, is thinking that if I just say something or do something here, this person is going to get me, that you can make someone recognize you. And that is simply not true, and the opposite often occurs, a wall of resistance, which leads to the projector feeling bitter, because things simply don't work out for the projectors when they do that. If there's anything that a projector really has to be disciplined about, it's figuring out who is actually looking at you. Be aware of your environment. Who is actually acknowledging you? Who actually cares that you have anything to say? And if you're not getting any of that back, then why are you here? Why are you spending time talking to this person or that person? Recognize those who are inviting you, and when they cut you off, you'll really get to know and feel the difference energetically, because that is the whole process for the projector, to know when they're invited and when they are not. An invitation does not necessarily mean that you're being recognized, so it's a crucial distinction to be made. So if you're being recognized for something you're not, like a person who has boundless energy, as an example, that is not a correct invitation. So therefore, that box is not checked. Something to understand about the energy of your channels and your aura mechanics in general is that when you don't operate correctly, that life force energy that comes through your channels and such also doesn't operate correctly. They're not just innately, fully functional, controllable superpowers, but they have the potential for such when you diligently follow your aura mechanics. Superpowers insofar as they're contributing to your success if you let your strategy and authority steer the ship instead of your mind and its significantly whacked compass. Incidentally, after you watch this video and learn more about what it means to be a projector, you may want to check out our video up here that discusses the various inner authorities that as a projector you may have. Also, be sure to find the video of your particular authority on our channel. So back to the invitation. You may be asking, do we have to do this for everything? Do I have to be invited to go to the bathroom? No. You'd employ this strategy if you were seeking a career change, a location change, a relationship possibility, working or playing on a team of any sort, participating in a group discussion, teaching a class, that kind of thing. You wouldn't really employ this strategy for things like daily activities, whatever that looks like, chores like going shopping for food if your fridge is empty, and things you enjoy doing. Every time you move to make something happen without following your strategy and authority, you are off frequency. You don't have a clean signal. It's staticky. And as annoying as this is to look at, that's what it feels like to your listener when you're initiating. The first threshold guardian on this path is entrusting that when you consistently follow your strategy and authority, your timing will be divine. Right timing, right action. Those who are correct for you recognize you, but not all who recognize you are correct for you. Let that decant for a while. Let them come to you. Let your aura bring the introduction of you as a topic. You're inviting positive interest and attention when you're out and about, but it's about cultivating your mystique. Your aura is a natural attention lure, but you continue to shoot yourself in the foot every time you operate counter to your best move, which is dictated by, guess what? Yep. Your strategy and authority. Sometimes the best advice you can give projectors is to simply be quiet. This, of course, doesn't sound nice, but it will save your skin. Let others find you. Let them think you're mysterious. Until someone wants to know something about your offerings, your advice, or your 2 cents, don't offer anything to them. Doing so will push people away rather than have the desired effect. Until you get noticed and invited to share, understand. Your aura is doing a lot of the talking for you behind the scenes. It's piquing others' interests, so they'll notice you. Allow that to happen. Now, I'm not saying that you shouldn't be social. You don't need to go into hiding. You can, of course, go out to networking and trade events, go on retreats, etc. Just don't initiate with your offerings. I'm mostly referring to business dealings and discussing your wares and services, but this recommendation does extend into situations in which you're offering your uninvited advice and insight to friends and family. Just don't spoil it by being the first to engage, aka initiate. Stay conscious. You'll start noticing those times more often when you're off your station and into the static. Keep experimenting and keep noticing. You'll start to detect a quality difference in the frequency you put out. Super important. There's a reason you may not have the energy to keep up with others or work a 9-to-5 job. As a projector, you must be conscious of your energy output. One of your characteristics is that you have an undefined sacral center. The sacral center, when defined, has renewable life force energy, which, as an undefined sacral person, you do not have. So your energy is not sustainable for work over long periods of time. You need rest and may need to take several breaks throughout the day. So why does it feel like you have all this energy before you hit a wall, that is? You regularly absorb and amplify sacral energy from those around you who have defined sacral centers, thinking it's your own. So you tend to work harder or longer hours, particularly in workplace environments around all of that available sacral energy. So you can be unaware that you're running on energy that isn't yours and burning out your system. Your mind thinks you have tons of fuel, but your body is running on fumes and destroying itself. I get how always needing to monitor your energy expenditure is a drag, but it's another thing that protects you, or should, once you become more accustomed to the actual size of your energy banks. It feels like you have this much energy naturally available at your disposal, but it's really more like this. It's best to see your energy limitation as a little blessing that's keeping you from things that aren't correct for you. You will never go wrong honoring your need for respite. A projector is best suited to work a flexible schedule that allows for this rest, and perhaps even an afternoon nap. How's that sound? So since you have limited worker energy and can easily burn out in a 9-to-5 type job setting, it's a very good idea, if you're not already, to become an expert in something, so you can be a consultant of sorts and not need to work full time. It's also really important for the projector's health to go to bed half an hour before they intend to go to sleep, and in their own space, in order to discharge the sacral energy that they have picked up and amplified during the day. If you sleep with a generator or manifesting generator, their sacral energy, if they did not properly discharge or deplete their well of daily sacral energy, could keep you awake even if they are asleep. A quick medical disclaimer before I mention the next thing. I want to make clear that nothing stated here should be construed as medical advice. For dealing with any given problem or to diagnose, treat, prevent, or cure any disease, all information I'm providing is for educational purposes only. It's not to be construed as medical advice. Only your licensed medical practitioner can legally offer medical advice. So please consult your healthcare professional for individual guidance for any specific health challenges you may be encountering. I want to revisit the topic of the projector's energy output limitation. First of all, don't lose heart. Many projectors are diagnosed with such things as chronic fatigue syndrome, adrenal failure, exhaustion, mystery, idiopathic illnesses, and the likelihood of a history of serious injuries for those who are athletes. The simple hard truth is that you were not designed to work full-time. You are a manager of others and a better manager of time. If a projector isn't operating correctly, like most of the projectors on the planet who haven't been presented with this information, they can suffer more than any other type. It's a new aura type. It's only 200 years old, and even though you're here to lead, your time really hasn't come yet, and many people do not recognize the projector for their genius, but rather see them as someone who's lazy or who can't keep up with the hustle and bustle. So it can be very painful for a projector, as you may have experienced. So be patient with yourself, especially if you're burned out. You will find your way to success, but sometimes it takes you longer than the other types. You'll also need to contemplate what the word success means to you. So start experimenting with this new information. See what happens when you wait for that recognition and are invited to share your insight. Feel into that space of what that experience is and what happens when you don't wait and instead initiate. Do your best to keep your mouth closed. Even when you think you have the best advice ever, take a chance, see what happens, hold your tongue, and then share your insight when you're asked. You'll really start to notice a difference on how that changes your experience from bitterness to success. Check it out, give it a shot, experiment, and remember to self-care. Be mindful of your energy output and follow your joy. And be sure to check out your inner authority, which is the unique way that your body, not your mind, shows you which choice or direction is correct for you. The first step is your aura strategy, which for you is to wait to be recognized and invited to share your insight, knowledge, offerings, etc. And then comes your inner authority to know whether a particular qualified invitation, choice, or decision is correct for you. I hope you'll give it a shot and see what happens when you experiment living this way. After all, what's your mind's track record in consistently leading you to good results? All right, well, Thanks for listening. If you got anything out of this, anything at all, please like it. And if you want more, please subscribe. Thanks again. And good luck with your experiment.